Fukio Nakagawa's right eye nervously twitched as he looked out of his front window in Aichi, Japan. Behind him, in an uncomfortable silence, were several of Toyota's executives with their head bowed in deep respect and anticipation. The August heat only amplified the tension in the room and made the minutes seem like days. Behind his back stood accountants who convinced him that the expected profit would be zero and that the company would lose money. On the other side of the room stood engineers and designers who passionately advocated that this model was suitable for Toyota and would show the world how it matured into an advanced and forward-thinking company at the top of the global car industry. Looking at the factory rooftops, tall chimneys, and busy workers below him, he faced a challenge. Should Toyota produce a unique car that it never made before and no one in Japan has? A car so different from anything made in Asia that people wouldn't believe it's a Toyota. Nakagawa knew very well that such a car would mean a lot to the reputation and perception of the company. The thought that the national pride was in his hands was enough to make up his mind, and Fukio slowly turned to his associates with bowed heads, waited a moment, and clearly said, "Do it." It was August of 1963, and Nakagawa San had just created history and started the legend of the Toyota 2000 GT. Although it failed to make any money, this model managed to attract the car world's attention to the then obscure and unknown brand and do wonders for its reputation. Interestingly, the 2000 GT wasn't conceived at Toyota. It was a brainchild of Yamaha's engineers who carefully observed the Japanese and Asian markets then and noticed that apart from Datsun's pathetic attempts, there was no domestic sports model. There wasn't even a market for something like that, but that didn't stop Yamaha from thinking in that direction. Yamaha had the idea, but it needed help from the larger and more powerful companies and made a joint venture with the Nissan-Datsun Corporation. Very soon, two prototypes were created. The first, CSP 311, was more conventional, and the second, with a more specific layout and advanced construction, was a thoroughbred sports coupe called the A550X. Although the collaboration between the two companies seemed promising, disagreements soon arose in 1962, and Nissan terminated the development contract. This left Yamaha with the A550X, but it could not finance further development or production. It seemed like this car would end its life before it had even begun. However, the A550X project caught the eye of Hiro Kawan, the head of Toyota's racing department. So, in 1963, the project was presented to the Toyota board and taken into consideration. Long after that, that famous meeting was held in Fukio Nakagawa's office, and after a favorable decision, things finally began to move in the right direction. The design of this model is practically the work of Toyota's designer, Satoru Nozaki, conferred by his drawings that clearly show the evolution of the form. Like many times before and countless times after, Toyota turned to Europe for inspiration and ideas. For a start, the X-type backbone chassis construction was borrowed from Lotus, and this architecture allowed for a low center of gravity and high torsional strength of the structure. Still, it limited the space in the cabin and the trunk. Toyota decided on the solution because it gave the car excellent road holding and almost ideal weight distribution. It was race tested by Colin Chapman, whose design philosophy has always been highly appreciated by Japanese engineers. Although Kawano sought funding for a unique engine, there was no time for its development, and the company's management was firmly against it. Therefore, the existing Toyota's inline six-cylinder M-Series engine was sent to Yamaha for fine-tuning. Yamaha gave it an all-new aluminum cylinder head with Hemi chambers for higher compression, better circulation, and higher revs. The 2-liter inline-six breathed through 3 horizontal Mikunu Solix carburetors and delivered 150 horsepower, a pretty outstanding number for mid-60s standards. But the best thing was its capacity to reach 9,000 RPMs like a thoroughbred racing car. In 1965, Toyota unveiled a near-finished car called the 2000 GT at the Tokyo Motor Show to public reactions that ranged from astonishment to disbelief. Foreign journalists, used to seeing diminutive cars, quickly spread the news about the new sports car from Japan. Today, it is difficult to imagine the impact the 2000 GT had on the automotive public in 1965. However, try to imagine the Chinese Geely or BYD presenting an incredibly sophisticated and advanced model that can rival the Ferrari. Although the initial reaction was very favorable, Toyota did not have the car completely ready, and the next 2 years were spent developing components such as a 5-speed manual transmission, 4-wheel disc brakes, LSD differential, independent suspension, aluminum bodywork, and so on. Following the company's principles, the new model could not be released as a semi-finished product or a product where Toyota needed to ensure quality. Although it took a lot of time, the 2000 GT appeared on the market only when it was 100% ready, tested, and reliable. When the Toyota 2000 GT finally appeared in front of customers in early 1967, there was nothing like it in the automotive world. The interior was just as impressive, with the leather seats, rich instrumentation, a 5-speed gearbox, and a dashboard made of unique wood lacquered with piano varnish, an invisible signature of Yamaha and its tradition in the production of musical instruments. One thing that particularly attracted attention was the stereo radio that searched for stations by itself, an incredibly advanced tech in the world of audio technology at the time. The car was full of delicate and unique details. For example, the chromed bumpers were not connected to the chassis but were mounted onto the body, making them decorative design detail and practically useless. The sophistication of the whole car showed the world that the Toyota 2000 GT is more of a rolling sculpture than a car. Toyota's main target was the lucrative American market. American journalists were the first to test the 2000 GT and concluded that it was as beautiful to drive as it was to look at. Toyota's efforts regarding advanced construction and mechanics paid off, and this car drove perfectly with neutral handling and lively performance. Even though the 0 to 60 miles per hour time of around 9 seconds and a top speed of 130 miles per hour might not sound as fast today, in 1967, those were respectable figures. Magazine testers especially mentioned smooth, high-revving 6-cylinder engines and stellar 4-wheel disc brakes. Nevertheless, specialized journalists agreed that the car has a couple of things that could be improved, namely the cramped interior, and if the driver were taller than 6 feet, it would have a hard time finding the right position. The trunk was tiny due to specific chassis construction, but the real problems were actually the non-existent brand image and the price. In 1967, Toyota priced the 2000 GT at a whopping $7,250 in America. At the same time, Toyota's competitors in the class were the Chevrolet Corvette, Jaguar E-Type, and the Porsche 911, all more powerful, faster, and far more familiar to customers. The 2000 GT's price is almost in the range of Italian exotics, such as the Lamborghini 400 GT, which costs around $9,000. Undoubtedly, the 2000 GT was hideously expensive to produce. Still, people couldn't consider the Toyota despite its good reception from the specialist press, advanced technology, and superb driving manners. The problem was also the brand image, and although Toyota had been on sale in America since 1959, mainstream customers weren't aware of it at all. It proved very hard to convince them to pay Lamborghini prices for a car from an unknown economy car company. Despite weak initial sales, Toyota did not falter. The car was perfect, but there was still much to do regarding the image and marketing. So, Toyota decided to spare no expense and promote the 2000 GT as a supporting role in the James Bond movie You Only Live Twice. Toyota has prepared 2 white Toyota 2000 GT convertibles, even though the open-top version wasn't available. This is because it turned out that Sean Connery, who was 6'2", couldn't fit in the car. Although the film made a blockbuster, it did little to help the popularity of the Toyota 2000 GT. Firstly, the car was still expensive and unknown to most of the audience, and secondly, the convertible wasn't available. American dealers even took a couple of orders for convertibles. Still, they were forced to return the money to customers when they discovered the factory had no intention of making a convertible. However, Toyota did not give up on promoting its sports model and decided to send the 2000 GT to the racetrack. They chose the famous Carroll Shelby, who gained fame by producing invincible Cobras and Shelby Mustangs, and beating Ferrari. With his contract with Ford expiring at the end of 1967, Shelby was free and ready to take on a new challenge. The only championship Toyota could compete in was the SCCA, and the up to 2.5-liter class, where it fought against the Alfa GTV and Porsche 911. Shelby needed more time, and the car could have been more prepared, but the drivers, Scooter Patrick and Dave Jordan, were successful. The racing genes that Chief Engineer Nakagawa San gave the 2000 GT managed to outclass the competition in the hot California sun, and Patrick and Jordan finished that year 2nd and 3rd in the overall championship, a testament to engineering. However, Toyota withdrew in 1969, realizing that sales would not be significantly better regardless of success. On the other hand, any racing venture is costly, and the accountants in the city of Aichi, east of Nagoya, could no longer calmly watch the financial disaster that the 2000 GT had become. In 1969, Toyota management quietly gave up trying to turn the 2000 GT into a profitable project. What they created was indeed a masterpiece in every respect, but at the same time, a significant market failure. Therefore, it is unsurprising that Eiji Toyoda, the new director of Toyota, decided to discontinue this model within 12 months. As expected, the production of the 2000 GT was very modest, and in the 3 years of production, exactly 351 examples left the factory. Most were RHD spec cars, but 62 were delivered in America with the steering wheel on the left side. The last 9 examples, produced in 1970, had a 2.3-liter engine with 160 to 170 horsepower, a rare factory option. In the end, the 2000 GT was by no means a failure, although the market results suggest so. Maybe it failed to attract customers, but this car did exactly what it intended to do: be a rolling advertisement for Toyota as a company, its capabilities, strengths, and ambitions. Toyota did lose money, but it got its first and greatest legend and symbol of striving for perfection. The 2000 GT shines with its uniqueness, almost watchmaking craftsmanship and precision, exotic charm, and the accompanying myth. Precisely because of all this, the 2000 GT has a special place in automotive history as the first Japanese car that captured the imaginations of millions, and the first Japanese sports coupe that could rival the European exotics.